Now that it's raining, it made me think about something. We need to cover the leaking issues on a Fox body once again. We've talked about it a couple times on the channel, but it's just something I want to go back over again with everybody because it's pretty important, right? If your Fox body's getting wet on the inside, it can absolutely ruin the car. It can ruin the floor pans, it can stain your seats. It's just overall not a good thing, right? So I'm out here while it's raining to prove a point. So we're probably gonna get a little bit of rain on the camera. It's okay though. So why don't we talk real quick about some of the problem areas with a Fox body as far as where they leak at, where you can get water in behind seals and other things like that. I'm gonna kind of speed through this real quick, guys. I'm gonna point out some things and we're probably gonna go back in the garage and talk real quick. Obviously, one of the main areas that causes problems with the Fox body is around the door frames here. These things are pretty flimsy. As you can see, you literally can push these things in and out, right? So you can push these door frames in and out pretty easily. What happens over time are these frames kind of bend out and you don't get a good seal. That's the only thing that keeps your window from leaking is the pressure from this top rail on that seal right there. So let's open the car up and see if we got any leakage. Nope, so far everything's dry, but look right here, guys. We have had some leakage at some point. Now, a lot of times it's got to do with the way the car is sitting. If it's leaning to one side or something like that, then it very well could do this. One of the things you can do to remedy this problem is literally grab your door and pull in on your frame like that. Now, you need to have your window down to do this correctly. Another thing you can do is lay a board across the top, across the outside, and pull back. And what you're going to do is just reshape the top of this frame right here, and that'll keep a lot of the rain out. Also, obviously, new seals help out, so make sure that your seals are good. There's one other thing too that I have seen a lot of, which are dents on the inside of this rail right here. If you have a dent right here, there's a good chance that water is going to seep past that dent. It's going to get onto your seats. Look at this, guys. Fox bodies are notorious for this right here. This is another reason why I have to get rid of these seats. All right. So another issue that you may be having is your door not closing tight enough. Now, typically, you can look at this from the outside of the car and tell if it's closing right or not, right? But look right here, my door is pretty good. It's closed pretty tight. As a matter of fact, it is in probably slightly a little bit more than the body line is of the car right here on the rear quarter. One of the problems here is if this striker is out of sorts here. Now watch this, we're gonna slide this striker back a little bit. These things move. They move up and down and in and out. So let's just say that this thing was out too far. Set it right there. Okay. Now I don't know if that's gonna make that much of a difference, but it is a common problem. So now let's check it. So what that affects whenever you do that is not only how tight the door sits right here and how flush, but also how much pressure is put on this door. Now, we did bend this in a little bit, so everything seems to be pretty snug right now, but it is a little loose in that corner. So also a common problem on these cars are the way the door's shut, and this right here can really kind of help remedy that problem as well. Now watch how easy this is to shut. You can't bend it too much because your window does have to track up in here, but at the same time you can bend this a little bit and get a tighter fit. So I think we're good right here on mine. What I want to do now is move to the deck lid. There's a couple different things back here that we're going to look at and talk about. Kind of the same situation. Make sure that your seals are good. These are brand new seals around the car. So if your seals are good and you're still having a leaking issue, this might be something to check into, is also the striker back here. Hopefully you can see the striker. Now you can pull this top cover off right here and you can get the same Torx to go in here. But another easy way of doing this is simply get a pair of channel locks like this or a pair of vice grips. Now my trunk shuts good right now, so I really hate to do this, but just for the sake of the video and showing you guys how it works, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Simply turn this and it moves the same way. So once you get it loose, it moves up and down and side to side. I probably just completely jacked everything up. What you can do is lower that if you want your deck lid to shut a little tighter, and make sure you get this thing tight before you try to shut your deck lid, because it will push it down if not. All right, so let's give this thing a go and see if it'll shut. I'm probably really gonna have to put some pressure on it. There we go. Nice and tight, guys. So that is absolutely something you need to look into if your deck lid is leaking. Now, typically these don't leak that much. Your deck lids don't anyway. So there's actually two more things back here that I want to address with you guys and make sure that you look over really good. So if you've got a non-Cobra car and it's been equipped with a Cobra spoiler or something else, maybe like a Celine spoiler, need to check and make sure that these things aren't leaking. You really need to check and make sure that even your GT stock spoiler isn't either. These are really notorious for leaking because you have to drill new holes, and we all know when us guys start drilling holes, a lot of times they don't line up like they're supposed to. Sometimes we don't have the proper equipment, the proper tools to make these things seal up. You can use butyl. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you a quick picture of it here. It's the same thing that they use around the quarter glass on your car. It's just a sticky substance that never really dries. You can run RTV, stuff like that, and I do think they make a seal kit for these, so like a gasket kit, I think, but it's kind of hard to find from what I remember. Make sure that your spoiler is not leaking. So I sealed mine up whenever we bolted this thing down so mine doesn't leak at all. But here's the other issue. Now, I have mentioned this a couple times in my videos, but I really want you guys to take note of this. This is going to be one of the #1 issues right here, is tail lights. Now, I'm not going to pull my car apart, but just trust me on this. I've got it in another video. When you pull this off is where the body comes down right here, and right down in here is where all of this water will sit if your gaskets are leaking on your tail lights. That's a big deal. Water will get down in here, it'll blow in from the sides. Now, granted, you're not going to get that much water because the deck lid does overhang, but you can get water in here and it'll leak back in behind and sit in your rear quarter panels back here. And when that happens, you get a little bit of dust, a little bit of dirt. It doesn't dry up very good, and now you've got some rust issues. LMR's got a good deal on the gasket kits right here for these tail lights, so make sure that your gaskets are good on your tail light. Check your quarter windows. It's really hard to do, I'm not gonna lie to you. Your inside panels cover up this, so if you've got some leakage issues, most of the time you're never gonna see it, guys. Where these things seal up, they actually seal up like this. They don't go all the way back, so they're not sealed to the edges. So it can leak past this outer lip right here and still be sealed in here and be fine. You might want to check your quarter glasses, guys, if you're getting water in your car somewhere in the back here, or even in the rear floorboard. It could be a quarter glass issue. While we're at it, one of my favorite topics, you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing it. Well, the reason why I'm covering this video right now is because we have some new subscribers. It's been, hell, what, a couple years since we've covered this topic, and I think it's something that we need to cover again. It's just pretty important that we cover all these topics because it's a big deal, right? We don't want any problems with our cars, and we don't want them rusting out on us. So let's talk about one other area that you really have to be cautious about. That was a big lightning strike. Whew. Okay, let's talk about this. This car rarely sits outside, but I know a lot of you can't help it, and your cars are gonna be outside. This is something you must check. Listen to me, guys. If you're new to the Fox body game, you have got to check this. If you don't, there's a good chance your car is rusting away underneath your nose and you'll never know it. The cowls on these cars, your fresh air vent right here, they get leaves down in them. Look at this. I clean mine out pretty regularly, and I don't know if you can see there's leaves in there right now. There's leaves in the bottom. Well, guess what else gets in there, guys? Sand, dust, dirt, debris of all sorts. Acorns get in there, everything. Well, what happens, I'll give you guys a quick rundown if you don't know. I know a lot of you already know how this works. Basically, there's a drain in here. This thing comes all the way back to right here, and there's a drain behind your fender here where all of this water, as it comes in, can run out. Those drains are not that big, so all these leaves fall through here, drop through the cracks, and then the water washes the leaves over and they get stuck in this little tiny drain hole that they have about that big, right? The leaves get stuck in it, and then you get dust, dirt, debris, all that type stuff, and over time the water cannot drain out. Guys, it will rust right up through here and you'll never know it. There's no way you're going to see it because all of this is up in here and the fender hides it. The thing that I recommend for you guys to do is to unbolt your cowl. It's pretty easy. So this is pretty easy, guys. I'm not going to do it for you right now, but just pull your windshield wipers off. If you don't know, guys, if you're new to the Fox body game, there's a little lever there. You pull this up, pull that out right there, let it rest, pull that up. Okay, once you do that, you take off like 6 screws right here and your cowling will come off. At that point, when you get your cowling off, you can reach down up in here and make sure that there's nothing blocking these holes. You can also rinse it out with a water hose and make sure you get all that dirt and debris out of there. Like I said, I know I've covered this many times on the channel, but my car has been sitting outside way more lately since we got that than it ever has been, and it's a concern of mine, and it's something that I check pretty regularly on my car because I put a lot of work into this car and I don't want it to rust away in a matter of no time. Seriously, guys, it can happen in just a couple of years you'll have rust that you're gonna have to spend some major money on. It goes pretty quickly. I mean, be honest. All of you right now, be honest. How many of you have pulled that cowl off to check and make sure that thing's not clogged with leaves and dirt? Probably not many of you. How many of you have checked to make sure that your tail light seals are still in good condition? There you go. So it's something that you do need to check. Also, I guess it's worth mentioning because I mentioned it in my other video when we talked about this type of stuff. So let's say you got a project car and it's in the backyard and it's sitting on dirt. Whatever you do, jack that car up, get it off the ground. A lot of times the tires go flat on project cars, or let's just say it's broke down at the moment, right? As the tires go flat, the car gets lower to the ground. I mean, everybody understands that, it makes sense. The lower that thing gets down to the ground on top of that dirt, the more mud and moisture can splash up on the bottom of your car, and the more moisture it holds underneath the car, it will rust your floor pans out in a matter of no time. Believe it or not, in only a year to a year and a half time of your car sitting right there on the ground like that is enough to do serious damage to the point where you're gonna have to cut out floor pans or do some serious work. Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna hold you up any longer. I just wanted to cover that. We're gonna get back into some of the Fox Body tips and tricks. We're gonna have to cover some things that we've already covered before, but it has been years since we've done it. So any of you new guys, stay tuned. We're gonna do some more of this stuff. You guys that have been around for a while, stick with me through this. Let's share all this information with the newer guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.